Hi everyone, I'm April and you're watching the Tangled Cat Speaks, and this is episode number 7. Wow, 7 episodes already. That's crazy. Crazy. So I'm here with quite a few things actually to talk about. So I'm gonna just get right into it. Thank you for joining me. If you're new, welcome, welcome, welcome. So let's just go ahead and get into all of the stuff I have to talk about today. First thing, I want to talk about what I'm drinking. I went yesterday with my daughter. She wanted to go to World Market. She was looking for something in particular, and while I was there, I went and stopped by the tea section because I love tea. And I found this. There's kind of a glare, I'm sorry. It's super green tea, and it's called Serenity. It's a matcha green tea with lavender and holy basil. I thought that was very interesting. I never thought to use basil as a tea, so I bought it. I love lavender, and I never have had matcha tea before, so I jumped in and I got it, and oh, it smells amazing. And you can smell the lavender, but there's the basil underneath, and it's a very interesting combination, a very interesting smell, and it's cool. They come in the tea bags. They don't have tags on them. They're these little round pouches that are unbleached, so that's kind of cool. It's a little more natural, I guess. There's quite a few in here. It was a little bit pricey, but there's quite a few. There's 36 tea bags in here. So I got that. And the reason why I was thinking about matcha tea is because last week I had an impulsive shopping moment. I was driving home and I was had a lot of things going through my mind that particular evening. And I turned down a road that I don't normally go down, and I ended up in the parking lot of this pottery place. Now, I had heard of it before, and I had been there years ago, and I stopped there because I knew they'd be open. It was already, most of the shops in the area were already closed, but I knew this place would be open, and I was just in the mood to spend some money. Go figure. And this particular pottery place is open 24 hours, I believe 24 hours. They never lock their doors, and there's nobody ever out front. Sometimes they'll come and, make a presence if you're in there. But for the most part, you don't see anyone. They're all in the back doing whatever pottery people, whatever they're doing in the back, that's what they're doing. And you just are free to roam. And they've got this little box, a little lock box with a slot, and there's forms, and you just get what you want, fill out the form with a description of what you got and the price that was on a little sticker on whatever item you got, and you write it down, and it's basically an honor system. You put your money, whether it's a check or your credit card information, cash, you put it all together with this form, and you stick it in the little lockbox, and you walk out. You don't hardly have any interaction with anyone. And I thought that was just a really cool idea. So I had gone in there years back, and I got this really cool mug and a really cool little salsa bowl. So I walked in there the other night, and I had no clue what I was going to get. I just wanted to buy something, but I didn't know what. And, I'm on a yarn restriction for this year. So I went into this pottery shop, and I looked around, and they've got beautiful things. Mugs and plates and vases and teapot sets, everything. They just have the most adorable things there. But I didn't want, I don't know, I had no idea what I wanted, actually. I was kind of hoping maybe they would have a yarn bowl, but that's pretty specific, with the swirl or the open edge where the yarn would come through. It's pretty specific, and if I wanted one from them, I'd probably have to request it specially from them. So I wasn't really thinking I was going to get it. I wasn't going to find it just randomly walking into this place. But while I was there, I was like, I don't know what I want, but I ended up coming out with 3 pieces. mostly because they're quirky, I guess. To me, they're quirky. I don't know, maybe they're normal to other people, but I didn't know what to do with them. And the first thing I saw, and I knew this, you know, a handleless cup, and it made me think of matcha tea. And I had always wanted to try matcha tea, so I thought, well, I can get myself a cute little teacup for my tea. And I don't know if I think there's supposed to be like a certain way that you hold it. I don't know if I'm doing that properly, probably not, but that's what I got. And it's super cool, little specks everywhere. So then I was looking around and I found something else that I have no clue what this is for, or maybe if somebody knows, but I don't know if it was just something that they decided to come up with on their own or if this is actually a thing. I don't know. But I got a plate and it's got the same speckles and the little orange coloring on the bottom. And there's this pretty spiral in the center, but then there's this. It's got a little lip. I have no clue what that's for. I don't know if it's to like make it easier to hold if you're serving something, but that's strange. I had no clue what this is for. So I got it. I bought it. It matches my little teacup, but I have no clue what this is about. Maybe it's just there to smile at me and say, hey, have a good day. I don't know. I have no clue. And then the other thing that I got was this bowl. And I don't know if this is supposed to be like a gravy bowl or what, but it's got two spouted edges. And again, it matches everything else, but I don't know what that would be for. I would imagine if it was like a gravy bowl that one side would have a handle. I don't know. It just seems odd to me. So I don't know. If you happen to know what either of these two pieces are about, give me a comment here and let me know, because I have no clue. Right now, it's going to be filled with yarn balls that aren't going to go spinning across the floor while I'm knitting. So this is my yarn bowl. Yay, I got one. So I don't know. I have no clue. So I did my impulsive shopping and that's what I ended up with. The place is here in New Mexico in a little city called Corrales. And the place is called Hanselman Pottery. And I was really happy they had these little cards. So again, it's here in New Mexico, and I don't know if you can see that, in a little town called Corrales. So super cool. It's a really ingenious thing to me to just, you know, be so comfortable and so open to just have an honor system regarding your work. You know, you're just putting it out there and just letting people come in and out. And I don't know. That's a whole lot of trust going on there, and that's exciting. It's exciting. I'm glad I bought something from them. I just wasn't expecting to buy that day, and I did. It was an impulsive shop, and it made me feel better. It really is true. Sometimes buying things really is therapy, you know? So I showed you. So that's what I got. I got the tea to go into my handleless cup. And this lavender holy basil green tea is really good. I don't know what makes this tea, the basil holy. I don't know if there's like different kinds of basil, like regular holy or regular basil and holy basil, but it's called holy basil. So that's interesting. So I think you saw my little ball here. And I told you all a while back about a package that I was supposed to get from Jimmy Bean's Wool, and it had gotten lost in the mail. That's what this is. If you look really closely here, you'll see that this was shipped December 15th. This thing has been roaming around goodness knows where for 2 months. 2 months I've been waiting for this. And it showed up all random in my mailbox, and I was super excited. It's a gorgeous color. This is Madeline Tosh Light, and it was part of the Semi-Precious Stones subscription, and it's called Taffiet. Oh goodness, I can't remember how to spell it. It's like T-A-F-F-E-T. I don't know how to spell it. I just know it's TAA. Really pretty, like deep browns, almost a charcoal grayish, and then the mauvey color. Really beautiful. So I got it finally. It's about a 20 gram mini skein. 20? Yeah. And it would, like I said, it was for the subscription, and this was one that I just wasn't expecting to get at all because it had been 2 months. I forgot all about it, and then I opened my mailbox and I'm like, I haven't ordered anything lately. That's odd. And nope, there was. I was really excited. So that's some of the new stuff that I got. And I did get some new to me stuff, but it's used. I used to go to a knitting group with some friends, and just because I'm an introvert and things happened in my life at the time, and I just kind of stopped going, and it became, because I'm an introvert, it became really easy for me to just not go anywhere. After everything else in my life was sort of resolved, I just stayed home, and I knit and I knit and I knit, and I'm comfortable with that. I am very comfortable being at home, quiet, not going anywhere. And it just became week after week after week, I didn't go to knitting group. Well, a few days ago, I was with my son. We had gone shopping because he's starting track and he needed running shoes. So we stopped over at the sporting goods store, grabbed him some shoes, and then we went to go get something to eat over at Panera. Oh my God, Panera is so good. Oh my gosh, it's so good. And we were in there, we made our order, and just as we were getting our drinks, my son said, "Look," and I looked to where he was pointing, and there was 3 people from my knitting group sitting there having sort of a mini knitting group. It was not the regular day that they have knitting group, and they usually have it somewhere else. So it was kind of a surprise. I walked in and saw them, and it was just like time had not passed at all. My son and I sat down and we ate with them while they sat and knit, and we caught up and just enjoyed each other's company, and it really made me realize how much I missed going to knitting group. So I think I'm going to start going again, maybe not as often as I was, once a week, but I do want to go. I miss seeing their faces. I missed hanging out with them, and I'm super excited. So it was Kelly and Melissa and Charles who I ran into, and another girl in our group, Kim, has set up a yarn dyeing day at the end of this month. So I'm super excited to go to that and just have like a yarn dyeing party with them. I forgot how much I enjoyed spending time with this group of people. So, you know, it kind of all worked out. I had my alone time, and you know, it just worked out that I ran into them again, and it was exciting. So anyways, I got my friend Charles, he had a big bag full of just random knitting needles, and I grabbed a few. They were all DPNs, and these are long. These are really like the old school knitting needles. I don't even know. They're, gosh, about at least 8-9 inches, some of them. And, oh, excuse me, I had gone through the bag that he brought. He had some in a lot bigger sizes. I got some in the general sizes that I normally use for socks. I don't know why I have tons of knitting needles already, but hey, who doesn't need more stuff? So I snagged some in the sizes that I tend to gravitate toward, and took them off his hands, and I'm super excited. So I've got, I don't even know what this is. Look at this label. It's like 157 years old. Like, it's just crazy. You know, and they're just plain old, I'm assuming they're aluminum needles. I don't even know. That's in a language I cannot read. It looks German. But it's just, you know, it's kind of nice. I have so many knitting needles. It's crazy. And I got more, so that's exciting. And I am kind of on a sock knitting binge, so it's good. I've got some extras, you know, in case I just must start something new right now, which happens to me a lot. So those are some of the things that I got during the week. So let's move on to actual knitting. I better move my tea because I'm going to spill it, and I'm going to be so sad because a couple of my favoriteest pieces are here. So I'm going to start with a couple of finished objects. The first one is this one, and I'm really excited to show this one because I know I showed you all in my first episode, I believe, a pair of socks that I had finished for one of my sons, and it was gray speckle with pink and black stripes. And I had told you that he wanted them because I was knitting a shawl with those colors, and he really loved the contrast. He really loved the colors. So my leftovers went into his socks. But this is the shawl that I was working on. And this is the Color Strike shawl. And it was by Josh Reichs-Rabinski. And he's also known as Geonitrix. He has his own podcast here on YouTube. And I think he had been gone for a while, and he just did episode 1 of Coming Back. So it's super exciting. It's Geonitrix podcast here on YouTube. And it's, he's just got a bunch of beautiful designs on Ravelry. And I think I mentioned I want to do his Degreenify one day. Yeah, I'm going to do it. But this is the one that my son fell in love with, and I fell in love with. And this is the Color Strike shawl. And I mean, it's an asymmetrical shawl, and it's just stunning. And I love this to death for a lot of reasons. One, because it was so interesting to knit it, you know, just when you're like, oh, I don't know, I want to do this section anymore, I'm done. He comes up with another section, and it was I think it was a mystery knit along. I know it was a knit along, but I believe it was a mystery. It's just beautiful. I love it so, so much. And I love the size. I am a girl who loves a big shawl. And so that's the Color Strike shawl. Josh Reichs-Rabinski. And again, Geonitrix. You should check him out on Ravelry. He's got an amazing eye for color work. Just lovely, 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 lovely. And I watched his new episode for his first episode for his new podcast here on YouTube, and he's just so bubbly and full of energy, and you can see it's there, like he's just shaking almost with just the energy and the passion and the excitement. And it was fun. It was really fun to watch him, and I'm really excited. You know, it's the first time ever that I think I've gotten involved with a podcaster on their episode 1. I saw it first. I'm going to be there through all of them because I just like him so, so much. So I'm definitely going to be doing more of his shawls. And before I forget, this was the black and the pink. These are Knit Pick Stroll Fingering, and it was the pucker and black with the colorways. And this one, it looks gray, like a gray speckle, but really it's in real life, it's like a very light pale lavender, and it's got some of the same speckling in there in the black and the bright pink. And it's called Cobb Cabin Crafts, and it's the Full Grown Sock is the name of it. The company is Cobb Cabin Crafts. I found her on Etsy. It's an Etsy shop. I don't know if she still does it. I've had it for years, and I finally decided to knit with it because I was inspired by this beautiful shawl. And this colorway is called Blackberry Muffin. So it's definitely not a gray. I mean, from far away it comes off as gray because of the speckles and it's up against the black, but it's definitely a light lavender. Super beautiful color, and it's basically, it feels very much like the stroll. It's and it's also a merino nylon blend. So it worked out in this shawl so, so pretty. And I've made this shawl on a US 5 or 3.5 millimeter. So, I'm sorry, 3.75 millimeter needles. Very exciting. So you should really go check Josh out on his new podcast and go check him out on Ravelry and look at some of his beautiful designs. Lovely, lovely, lovely. The other one that I want to show you is what I'm wearing. And this is called the Snow Melt Shawl. I adore this. Again, it's huge, and this was also a mystery knit along, and it's called the Snow Melt Shawl by Helen Stewart on Ravelry. Look at how pretty this is. And the thing about this, and I'll tell you why this is one of my favorites, because it's got 3 different colorways of yarn in there, and 2 of those colors I didn't care for as much as I was hoping. One was, let's see, I'll just tell you the colors, and I've got 2 of them here because it's what I'm making my socks out of. My Ravellenics socks. So one color, this one I really enjoy because it's like a pale cream with blues and reds and purples thrown in there. I like it because it's muted and it's just mellow. Well, it's Fiddle Knits Polka sock, which is also a merino nylon blend. And I also got onto Fiddle Knits on her website. She's not dyeing anymore yarn. So I had ordered this from her, and it was called Play with Color Day, and I think she did 2 versions. She did a Play with Color Day and a Play with Color Night, which the night one is very similar to this but had a lot more black. But the color that I had seen online had way more white to it. And I know that that's the risk you get with hand painted yarns, and I get it. And I like it, I just didn't love it. It's super pretty, but it's not one of the ones that I was just like fainting over when I opened the package. I had a hard time with it. It took me a while. And then the other one is, I don't have any more of it. Or maybe I do. I just don't know exactly where I might have put that one. Oh, I think I do know where it is. It's in one of the mystery bags for my brown bagging it sock clothes. So it's hidden in a brown bag waiting for me to draw the right number for the next month. So I don't have it. It's hidden. But if you look, there's a yarn in here that's got a lot of black in it, and it's also got the reds and the blues, but there's this bright yellow in it, and I'm not a yellow fan, and it's really, really hard for me to love yellow. Well, this particular yarn was a Pandia's Jewels yarn on her Snug base, and I adore her yarns. I adore them so much, but I don't like all of them. You know, it's like anything. I think I like about 90% of what she makes, and then there's that 10% that I'm just like, oh, it's pretty, but I don't think I want to buy that. And that's what ended up with this. I was actually on the Pandia's Jewels thread group on Ravelry, and it was a knit along, just a kind of a random knit along, and it involved prizes. Well, I happened to win one of the prizes, and what I got was the Snug base with a colorway she had named Team Rodgers, and I believe that that was a reference to the Avengers at the time. So it was Team Rodgers. I think she had 2 of them. It was Team Rodgers, and I think the other one was Team Stark. I don't remember what that would look like, but I ended up getting this one as a prize on that knit along. And again, I wouldn't have picked that colorway for myself, and it's mostly because of that yellow. I'm not a yellow fan, and I'm trying really hard to embrace it. But when I first got the skein, I was like, oh, I'm so happy I won, yay, but I don't know what I'm going to do with this yarn. So then along comes, you know, months and months later, along comes Miss Helen Stewart, and she's doing this mystery knit along for the Snow Melt Shawl, and she wanted 3 different colorways. She wanted a light, a medium, and a dark. Well, this was my light, and this was my medium, and then the Team Rodgers, because it had so much black in it, was my dark. And I was like, I don't know what this is going to be. I really don't like 2 of these yarns, but I'm going to use them up. I'm going to just go with it. Just go. So I started knitting it and knitting it and knitting it, and I am in love. Like putting the three together just made it something completely different. I don't even understand why. Well, I know that mixing some of them, you kind of, the yellow is kind of hidden. It didn't have a chance to pool on itself, so I wouldn't have big splotches of yellow. But the design is just gorgeous. And I think every single colorway that I have seen this knitted up in is stunning. And again, it's huge, and it's a half circle or semicircle. But it's just, I ended up, because of the way that the colors mixed together in this shawl, I love it. It's funny how that happened. I was really literally thinking, I'm just going to join this MCAL just to be part of a group and just do something and, you know, whatever. And I'm just going to use these yarns. I don't even care because I have other yarn, but I already had those set aside for something. So I just grabbed these, and it ended up, I wear this a lot. Just love it. And I get so many compliments on it. And it's just funny to me that 2 out of the 3 yarns I did not really care for. So it just goes to show you, you never know what's going to happen. Love, love, love. So I am wearing this one today. So those are my finished objects, and they've been done for a while. I haven't really finished anything recent because February just started. And I am in the middle of, or at the very beginning of the Ravellenics, which started on the 9th, when the Olympics opening ceremonies happened. So I've got 3 projects going, and one is in the WIP category. And this is using a whole bunch of 3 leftover balls of 3 Irish Girls yarn. And the only thing they have in common is that they have a little bit of pink running through them. There's Baja, and then the green is called Rio, and then this pink is called Kate. And I kind of blended the colors as every time I transitioned so that it wasn't a stark line. And I was just doing, you know, increasing along one side, and then I got to the width that I wanted, and I just kept going straight across. Then in the middle, I got bored of all this plain garter. I got tired of it. But this is one of my own patterns. I'm just winging this. And so I ended up pulling out my Barbara G. Walker stitch dictionaries and or treasuries, as she calls them, and I found this reversible lace, and I stuck that in the middle, and then I went backwards with the blending of the colors. So I finished that part, but that's not all. I am planning on adding a border on the bottom, and I'm gonna do a knitted on border. I was thinking of maybe just picking up all the stitches and knitting downward, but I really don't want to do that. I want to do a knitted on border. And I found one that's basically garter stitch, which is some points at the end. And I'm going to do it in this color. This is Stroll Knit Picks Brights in the Pickle Juice colorway. Look at how lovely. This happens to be the one color, one of the colors that ties in all 3 of these yarns. It's in all of them, even in this Kate. And you can see there's the green there. So this is going to be my border, and it's just a garter stitch border with some pointed edges. And what I want to do, because I seem to be throwing just everything at this thing, 3 wild colors, garter, lace, shaping, knitted on border, I might as well throw in some beads. Why not? Why not? So I thought that these beads would go really well. This pretty green. Oh, it's not going to focus. There it goes. And I thought that would look lovely up against this green. And it really does match the green in the Rio colorway. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm still trying to figure out the border, but I'm going to work on that today and get that on, and hopefully I can get this done by the end of the Ravellenics, by the end of the Olympics. So I'm super excited with that, and I've been writing things down as I go so that I can get it published. I don't know who's going to want to make something as wild as what I just did, because I literally was just using up leftovers. Figured I'd do something, but you know, I think this might actually look really pretty even in just a single color, or maybe a more subtle fade of colors. And it'll stretch more when I block it out, this panel here, because the lace really does kind of suck it in. But it'll stretch out and, you know, really pretty. And I think adding the border on the bottom is also going to stretch out that area here on the bottom. So it's going to be like a crescent-shaped shawl. But I mean, I don't know if anybody's going to want to make something like this, but I'm going to write it up and get it up on Ravelry anyway. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know what I'm going to call it. I think part of me wants to go, okay, do y'all remember, I don't know if they still do it, but for the Prego spaghetti sauce, and the commercial used to say something like, it's in there, you know, I would talk about, I'm being so silly right now. It would talk about the different herbs and the spices and everything, and every time they would list something, they would say, yep, it's in there. So that's, I was thinking of calling this my Prego shawl because of the Prego spaghetti sauce. And then I thought, no, I can't name it Prego. People are going to think it's something to do with being pregnant. That's weird. So I'm not naming it Prego. But that's kind of what I did. I basically threw everything in there. So if you can come up with an idea, maybe I should call it the whole enchilada. I don't have any clue because I'm really throwing just everything I got in there. I got lace and beads and whatever. I got all kinds of things. So I don't know if you can come up with a good name for me to call this besides crazy. Oh, that's a name. I could name it that too. Oh, I just found it. I just found the name. So I have a friend, her name is Brenda, and she used to always say this rhyme. I can't even remember how it goes. But I don't know what it's called, but she would always say, crazy? I was crazy once. And go along on this big thing, and then at the end of it, it kind of looped back into the hole, and it started over again. It was kind of like the song that doesn't end, but it was this little funny little poem about crazy. And she used to say it all the time. Crazy? I was crazy once. We just go on and on and on. So I could either name this Brenda's shawl, or I could just name it I was crazy once. I think I'm going to name it that. I was crazy once. And then I'll have to get her to tell me that poem one more time so that I can put it in the description. So that's what I'm doing. That's the first thing. That's my whip category for the Ravellenics, is the cowl. And they have special names for these categories. I can't remember what it's called. I think this is, I don't remember. But it's basically the cowl category. And it's the one that was the most challenging for me. This was the one that was going to be my challenge, the big challenge for myself, because I've never tried brioche. And so it's a brioche, it's called Fingering Brioche Bandana Cowl. So it's in the round, and you know, you just go around and around and around, and then you kind of stop going around, and you are knitting flat, decreasing into a point, so it looks like a bandana. So the colors I chose are, well, these are the Wisdom Yarns Naked Sock. These are 93% acrylic, and then it's like 7%. I don't have any clue what PBT is. On Ravelry, it has it listed as other. I have no idea what that means. But this is Cardinal Rule, and this is Bright Spot. Pretty pinks and grays. So I wasn't sure how this was going to turn out. I was planning on making some warm weather socks. Since it's acrylic, it wouldn't be, you know, quite as overheating as wool would be in the summer. But I wanted to really make this cowl, and I'm probably going to end up with a lot of this left over because this is way more yardage than called for. So I still might end up with some shorty socks. We'll see. But this is my cowl so far. And I'm really proud of myself because I'm doing so good. And the biggest challenge that I'm having is that I have to focus. So this is the outside. well, I guess it could be either. This is reversible, so it could be either. So the red is the predominant color, and then the pinkish gray is at the back. But then the other side has the pink and gray on the predominant and the red in the back. I am loving the colors that I chose. I'm loving it so much. And that red really is that bright. It's like a flame. It's just so bright. I'm digging it so much. And then the gray on the back. I love it. I'm loving it so much. So here I'm going. But you do a lot of slipping stitches. And every time it says to slip, I want a purl. So I really, really have to focus so that I'm not just doing ribbing. So I really do have to pay attention, because I caught myself a couple of times and I looked back and I'm like, nope, nope. And I had to tink back several times because I kept letting my mind wander, as it tends to do. So I'm super excited. I've got some pretty good progress on my cowl. Oh, and I'm using my little progress keeper that I got from Winemaker Sister, I think it came in the Indie Undyed Where We Knit package. Oh, I love it. The little pine cone. It's so pretty. I just am in love. And it's got the green bead, and green is my favorite color. I'm in love. Love, love, love. So there's my cowl category. And then the other one is the sock category. And this is where I was telling you the Polka sock and the Stomp both from Fiddle Knits. And these are the Evil Queen socks. Evil Queen by Louise Roberts, I believe. These are knit the back half of the sock, down the back, over the heel, down the sole, over the toe, and then the front of the sock is in the second color. And I'm doing these 2 at a time. So this is one of them. This is the cuff, and then the leg. I'm about to start the heel flap here. And this is the Play with Colored Day yarn. And it's still not my absolute favorite, but it's going to look really cool as the back of my sock. And this is a Progress Keeper kitty that I love so much, that came on my kitty bag. It was from Quilt Knit Craft on Etsy. Super cute. So I got to, this is where I'm going to start for the heel flap. The other one, I've already finished the heel flap and the gusset, and I'm just ready to start doing the sole of the foot. Now look at that. That's crazy. That is half a sock right there. Half a sock. Cuff, back of the leg, there's the heel, and here's the gusset. You can kind of see, there's the gusset right there. And now I'm just knitting back and forth, back and forth. Then once I finish the short rows for the toe, I'm going to switch colors and do the entire front panel in this lighter color. And I'm going to be picking up the edge stitches as I go and, knitting them together with this panel. So there's not going to be any seaming. And it's going to be super cool, and I love it. I love it so much. It's going by super fast. I did most of this yesterday, and it's just because it just seems like you're not doing anything, because I'm only working on 32 stitches and I'm just zipping along. And it's strange how all I have to do is double it, and I'm like, oh my gosh, 64 stitches around a sock is taking me forever. Which really, I'm doing the same thing, because I'm doing the 32 here, and then I'm going 32 here and 32 here. But for some reason, it seems faster. So I don't know. I'm going to work some more on that, and hopefully I can get all 3 of these projects done before the Olympics end. So I really want to get busy on those. Super, super, super excited. Oh, my little kitty needle keeper too. Have to show it again because I love it. Love, love, love. And that is pretty much all I've got today. Yeah, it seems like a lot. It really is a lot. But I'm going to get back into drinking some more of my tea, and I'm going to knit some more and try to get some stuff done. I guess I should do my chores today. Why? Why do they exist? Yeah, so I'm going to have to do that. But, oh, I was going to tell you about my shirt. I had mentioned that the tee that I'm wearing is called Serenity. And I don't know if anybody noticed, but, well, you probably not because it's so low, but my shirt, I love Firefly and Serenity. Those are my favorites. I love them, love them, love them. And one of my best friends gave me a t-shirt that has the theme song for Serenity printed on it. I can't really get any higher than that. But I thought that was kind of cool. My tea is Serenity. I love Serenity. I love Firefly. And I didn't plan this. I didn't plan it, and I didn't notice it was happening until I was just about to start filming. And I was going to mention it while I was mentioning the tea, but I totally spaced it. But yeah, I love that show. And I'm going to have to do another binge watch of it because it was so wrong that thing did not ever go past the first season. Such a good show. Loved it. So that's probably what I'm going to do. I'm going to binge watch Firefly and while I'm knitting up on my Ravellenics projects. So I hope you all enjoy the rest of your day, and I hope you have a wonderful week. Thank you so much for joining me, and we'll see you next time. Love you. So what is this thing? Well, this is the whole reason that this particular episode was quite wobbly. I apologize for that. I tried a new setup today, and it's using this thing that I got, and it's called Tentacle. And, you know, it does what it says. You know, it's got suction cups on the bottom to hold it, and hold. You can put it wherever you want, and then attach your phone to one of the other suction cups to mount it where, you know, in random places. So I tried it. It just so happened that it made for a wobbly picture, and I don't know that I'm going to keep trying it. I may try it again another time. Somehow I'll have to figure it out. But I do apologize for the wobbliness, and I hope it didn't make anybody too dizzy. So yeah, bye.